we'd like to call the meeting to order. First, we'll have a roll call vote,
Dr. Robinson, Mr. West,
Here.
Dr. Bunch, here, Ms. Newsom, here, Mr. James.
Here.
Thank you. We have next on our agenda the adoption of the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move for the adoption of the agenda as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Roll call, please.
Mr. West,
Aye.
Dr. Bunch, aye, Ms. Newsom,
Aye.
Mr. James.
Aye.
Next on our agenda, we have public comments. Mr. Hurston. Mr. Hurston here? Akins? Yes, I'm sorry, Akins. It's fancy handwriting here.
Three minutes.
First, I'd like to say good afternoon to everybody. My name is Antoine Akins, and I am coming on behalf of, I'm coming to request the acquisition and the occupancy of the 819 Highway 61 South property and building, which was once the Kapata Lincoln Community College building. I sent an email to all of the board members. I don't know if everyone got it. I tried to send it. I think I sent it.
You may have, I haven't
I
seen
have not received that.
it. So it may have been sent to our
I sent it to
school district email address?
Yes.
That's why I probably know,
Most of us use our personal.
Oh, well, I didn't know that.
Lakita, no, it hasn't been sent?
I haven't seen.
Okay.
Well, I sent it to the emails that were given to me from Ms.
Send
Davis
it to the one that's on the website.
on the website.
On the website?
Yeah.
Okay, that's why.
Okay, so what's my recourse? Do I need to?
Oh.
Just go on and make your presentation.
Okay, sure.
Just generally tell us what the email was referencing or whatever the case.
Well, basically what the email was about was the church that I passed. I recently organized a church here in Natchez. And what we were trying to do was, we were trying to acquire that building and that property for the use of our church and for community service projects, such as we wanted to open up a daycare center on the property. We wanted to convert the building into a church sanctuary, classrooms for church use and different things like that. A couple of weeks ago, I had a chance to go in and tour the building, and it was just like I thought. It's a beautiful, even with all of the, all of the decay or whatever, it has great potential. And so we were coming to see if the board would donate the building to us and give us a long-term lease on the building where we could go in and renovate it and give some cosmetics and bring some life to it. It will also serve not only as our church, but also a headquarters for our community action corporation, which we will have a barber school, a cosmetology school in it. There will also be a truck driving school in the building. We would do a after-school tutorial program there. We would do a after-school feeding program for those children who are going to school that are 18 and under. There's also I have a PhD in mental health, so we also do a mental health and emotional counseling service there in the church, in the building. And that's basically it, but I can resend the email to you all to a different email. To a different email that you all look at so you can get the information. That's basically it. I just wanted to come and ask, or I'm requesting the acquisition and the occupancy of that building by way of either donating it to us. We do have a 501c3. Of either donating to the church or a 501c3, or granting us a long-term lease. So that's basically it.
Okay. Now, are there any questions or comments from any of the board members?
I would just like to see a full proposal.
Yeah, well, the letter that I sent,
Right.
it is
Once
there.
we see that, then we'll be able to start to consider it and
Okay. Okay, well, how can I get your personal emails that you?
Well, I think if you would send it to Lakita Davis, the secretary of the board,
Okay.
she can get it to us.
Okay, I'll send it right now. Okay,
Okay.
okay.
Any other questions or comments from any of the board members?
Would it be all right if I request to send a copy to the superintendent and the deputy superintendent as well?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay.
That's it.
Wait, any other comments or questions?
Okay, thank you very much, Doc.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Doctor, let me, before you leave, you are from Jefferson County, is that correct?
I am, yes, sir.
Okay, and you're a doctor in what area?
Well, let's see, I have a doctorate in theology, I have a doctorate in ministry,
Okay.
and I have a PhD in counseling psychology and urban higher education.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And how long have you been back in Jefferson County or whatever the case?
Well, I moved away 12 years ago, about 11, 12 years ago.
Okay.
And I've come back and we organized the church in June of this year.
Okay.
And we're growing pretty rapidly, and so we're outgrowing where we are. And so we just need more space and we need places to do the ministry on the level that we've been called to do.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Sounds good. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Mr. West.
Oh, I'm sorry.
If I may just ask, is there any particular reason why you have not considered something in Jefferson County?
Well, not really. I've just, when I was led to come back, I was led to launch here in Adams County. No particular reason.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doc.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
There are no other public comments. At this particular time on the agenda, we have the combined middle school choir performance. For everybody's information, the reason I'm chairing this meeting is our chairman, Mr. James, who normally chairs the meeting. He's leaving shortly, and so I was caught off guard. I didn't know that he was leaving, and I would be in this kind of position that I didn't get corrected, improved, get a chance to read anything. You know, when you get a certain age, you need a little time to settle in before you can do certain things. Those of you who in my age category might know something about that. I'm just trying to be funny, evidently it wasn't. Nobody laughed, so okay. I'm ready when you are, Ms. Hannah.
I thought love was only true in fairy tales, meant for someone else but not for me. Love was out to get me, that's the
Testing 1, 2. Somebody's cut the mic off. Let's give them another round of applause. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the Natchez Middle School Football Championship recognition. Mr. Tony Fields. That hand is for the football team, Tony, not you.
No, I think that y'all, let's give that choir another round of applause. Living my life like it's golden. Y'all hear that move? That's the only one I can do. That's my go-to. Yes, indeed. Great job, girl. We're here today to recognize our Natchez Middle School football team. They are the Southwestern Mississippi Junior High Athletic Conference 2021 champions! If you know anything about the Natchez Middle School football program, they say, get paid, Bulldogs, get paid. So, Coach Josh West and your staff, you all come on down and get paid. If the football team is standing, right here, just so we can get a good picture. Hopefully, y'all been in the weight room. Good job. Team, get up on the stage. Lee, you can give me some good pictures of this? Oh. Great job. Each one of the players will receive a certificate commemorating their championship. So, coach, after the meeting, if you would, give those. But I want to present to Coach West and this great football team this wonderful plaque. It has the team picture on there and all of their names on it, which will be housed at Natchez Middle School forever.
We appreciate each one of you guys for coming out and doing this for the guys and let them know that their hard work didn't go unnoticed. You have a great evening.
Let's give another round of applause, please.
Coach West, how many years have you gotten paid?
5. All right.
Congratulations, Coach. He's winning the championship for 5 consecutive years, I believe, 5 years. Okay, thank you. The next item on the agenda calls for the vocal update for Mr. Gonzalez.
Good evening, everybody. Good to see y'all. We've got something a little further down, which is for a change order, but the update pretty much on the projects isn't so much on the projects themselves. I was here really to give you some unfortunate news, which we discussed with the superintendent yesterday, that Bob Bernard is leaving Bulford. So I wanted to let you know that. We sat down with the superintendent yesterday. It's as disappointing for him as it kind of is for me as well. But he had an opportunity to stay home, work at Thibodeau for the next several years, and it was an opportunity he just really couldn't pass up. I completely understand it, but it is what it is. I hate losing everybody. I think everybody in this building that works for the school system has been touched by Bob in some way, and I mean, I've never heard anybody say anything negative about the man, so y'all probably have a lot of negative things about me, but not about Bob, so, but, so in the interim, as I'm working to find somebody to put down here, because obviously we need someone where we are in construction right now. I need a bulldog out there. I need someone pushing hard. I'm getting to that. But in the interim, I will be running the projects, so, a joke from you, Mr. West. No, I will be.
Will that have any kind of negative impact as far as the timetable is concerned?
No, it will not at all. Everything is under construction right now. Everything is being managed under construction, and it's good. You know, we're not stuck in any kind of limbo or anything like that. You know, the fortunate thing is that Bob and I communicate very regularly on this project now since the very beginning. Y'all see my face a whole lot around here. I've reported to y'all. I met with Fred, and not as often as Bob has, but I have been in meetings and stuff. So we've had a good transition of stuff. All the items that are out there, and there are quite a few, but we've gone over that. We've gone over with the contractors on both projects over the last couple of days, and with the architect as well. So got a good grasp on what's going on out there, and so y'all will be in good hands. We're going to continue giving you the best service. I just apologize that it just some unfortunate news. So I appreciate the opportunity that the superintendent gave. Just would want to let y'all know as well personally, you know, not just find out through the grapevine. So.
Let me just say this on behalf of the board. All of us appreciate, tell Bob that all of us appreciate the fact that of working with him and having a good relationship with him. We think he did a tremendous job for us, and we hope that will continue, and we wish him well. But we really want to thank him because he did have the kind of personality, unlike mine or yours, where people like that. Okay, so let's give Bob Bernard a round of applause, please. Just for the record. So if things don't go right, we can all blame Mr. Gonzalez.
No, that's typically what we're doing anyway.
Okay, thank you
But
very
I
much.
want to let y'all know that. Thank y'all.
If you allow me, please, what I want to do is change order 8.5, we can make that presentation, we can vote on it further down the line, because he has somewhere he needs to go.
That'll be fine. Any objections to that?
Trying to see where I got that right now. You have the hard copies with you by any chance? Yeah. Okay. Okay, getting Bob to send me the actual one of the change orders. We were going a little back and forth with them because they had some days and stuff in there for HVAC work that Bob's flat out rejected because the number of days they were claiming and stuff, because there were items in there that they were saying, well, we had this many weeks of delay and stuff. That's what we all took 6 weeks to get his price, and you can't tell me now that we're delaying you for that. So we got a little bit back and forth, and he's about to send me with that final dollar amount. It's for mechanical changes and stuff that we're doing over at the middle school, which we can discuss the last meeting already. It's not really my life. They were actually very good there. We do have.
Let me ask you a question. Bruce, are you on?
He's on.
Bruce.
He's on, but he probably can't.
He's not over here.
He'll be on over there.
Yeah, they'll be on over.
Oh, he's not. Okay.
He hears, right?
Okay, well, I was wondering, since we didn't have this listed on the agenda, is that correct?
It's on,
It's way down there.
Okay, which one is it?
8.5.
Eight right there. Oh, okay, all right. I will make sure we made a motion to allow it to be on.
No, you're good. You're good on it.
Okay.
What I'm trying to get is the actual thing, is when I had from Kaylee with M3A, didn't have it, so Bob's sending it to me right now. But we do have one that is on condensate drain piping that we have been working on. So at the last meeting, we talked about some changes that need to be done on the HVAC systems at the middle school. There was one item on there, I think Bob may have mentioned, that we were working on pricing for condensate drain. And basically that's the drippage of water that comes out, minimal most of the time, that needs to be disposed of. The drawings didn't indicate exactly what to do with it. So we looked at two options, one of which is to hard pipe it out of the building, which basically would come right out, go through a pipe. We had to trench, we had to cut out some concrete to get it out to the yard and get it over to a drainage. The pricing we got from the contractor was a little astronomical. It was like $200,000. We just said, you know, I mean, the engineers looked at it, the architect looked at it, we looked at it, and it was just flat out grossly off. So we looked at putting in condensate pumps for it, and it's about $58,000 to do that. And what it is a little pump that goes in there and puts it up on the roof, and it drains it out there, and it goes out through the roof drain. So that's the option that we were recommending, and I mentioned to Mr. Butcher, and he said, yeah, that's what one we'd like to do. So need to get an approval on that one so we can get that moving and get them moving right away so they can get finished up with mechanical work. We're pushing them to finish phase 1 by January 7th. The mechanicals probably going to be the last part getting finished up in there, so I need to get them moving on that one. So I will get approval on that one.
Mr. Butcher has his hand up.
West, members of the board, the condensation unit, this doesn't different because basically how the water is being exposed to right now. But we thought when we look at the two prices, this was the most economical way to go because of the fact nothing new. There are, you know, this is what's being happening right now. So that's why we do that.
Okay. You've heard the presentation and the request and the recommendation. This particular time, the board would do, it would be in order to offer a motion to accept, table, or reject the proposed change order.
Mr. Chair, I, Thelma Newsom, move that we approve the proposed change order, which is action item number 85.
A second.
It's been moved and properly second. Any questions or discussions on the motion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Roll call.
Roll call. Okay, roll call.
Mr. West?
Aye.
Dr. Bunch? Aye. Mrs. Newsom?
Aye.
Mr. James?
By a vote of 4-0, the motion has been approved.
Okay. Did y'all have any questions while I was here on the projects or anything going on with them? I know y'all have been out there. Y'all are always welcome to schedule some time. I'd love to take y'all back out there again. I can tell you that on the high school portion of it, all the slabs now have been placed. They're all down. I think Monday, I think it was the last one, Monday or Tuesday, I can't remember. I think it was Tuesday because the superintendent was exhausted when I saw him about it.
They pulled into the last slab on Saturday, it was on Saturday last time.
Yeah, that's what they were trying to, and then what happened was they got everything set up, and lo and behold, the concrete batch plant couldn't get the concrete. So they ended up having to do it, I think, on Tuesday. But all of that's done. You see a lot of steel going up there. We're pushing in to get a lot of the work going as well, but then you get steel in those final two classroom wings. So gotta make good use of these beautiful days we've been having. In the middle school, like I said, phase 1, we're pushing in to complete by January 7th. We had a meeting last week with the superintendent and the kitchen director and several other folks and the contractors to look at the cafeteria because effective tomorrow afternoon, once everybody's out of school, we're taking over the cafeteria till January. So we're well planned with the school and everything, but because they're going in there to do the flooring and painting, and then they got quite a few things to do in the kitchen that they're going to be working on repairs. Some new epoxy flooring is going to be going on the serving lines and stuff in there. So there's a lot of work to be done, and it's pretty much a coordinated effort to get all those parts and pieces put in. So when phase 1 is complete, they can roll over into that too. So when the students get back, to give them back use of the cafeteria.
I would like to know when we as a board may be able to do another visit. If we can go ahead to schedule that.
You just let us know if you schedule it. But we prefer now that it be after the contractors are gone because it's a little more dangerous now thinking what we do.
So when might that be? When will they be leaving?
Anytime after 5 o'clock, you know, Friday night, either 12, right, or 12 or 1, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, if we do it in the afternoon, if you want to do like a Tuesday or Wednesday afternoon or anything like that, but if you want to come maybe after 3, it's probably grossly down the number of people that are there. The problem with going after 5 is you're going to be looking at darkness.
It's darkness.
You know, I have a flashlight. I'm going to show you what you really want to see. So, but you know, doing it in the afternoon, that's a good suggestion. So we're not doing it in the middle of the day because like when y'all last came out there working on concrete, where's the many people? They're going to start having a lot more. That high school is going to be teeming with people here pretty soon when they start getting the drywall. Got to be getting all the studs going, the insulation. We've got roofing that's fixing to get started already out there. So they're gonna start getting a little bit, it's a little more of a beehive of activity out there. The middle school, you know, it's just walking around. There's plenty of places we can look at the middle school and not be around the contractors. But if y'all wanna have a day, maybe right after the Thanksgiving break, if y'all wanna go out there, you know, one afternoon about 3 o'clock, I'm happy.
Why don't we just allow the superintendent and the board chairman to come up with a particular time
Yeah, that's
in the next couple of weeks or so?
right, and contact us, yeah.
And contact us. Is that okay, Mr.?
Good time with me. Okay, we'd love to do it. Don't kick all that dust up this time.
Mr. Butcher, parents have been notified about the change in the cafeteria. Okay.
Any other questions?
Any other further questions? Well, as Thanksgiving is next week, I want to give y'all a big word of thanks for the opportunity to get to work with y'all. Everybody in this school system has been a real pleasure. Mr. Ford, not quite as much, but
Okay.
I mean, you can't get anybody more pleasant than Mr. Ford over there. No, everybody, honestly, everybody has been wonderful. I appreciate the kind words of Bob. I'll definitely relay that over to him when I call him after, when I leave. But I really do appreciate it. Y'all have been a real pleasure to work with. Thank y'all very much. Hope y'all have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Thank you, and same to you. Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
sir.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the art presentation from the McLaurin Elementary. Ms. Martin.
Members of the board, West, and members of the board, this is one of the art presentations from McLaurin. The other is out there in the hallway. What we're trying to do on the request of the board was to make sure we have a choir and art exhibit for all of the board meetings. So once we take it out of here, we'll post it in the hall until the next meeting.
Very good.
Thank you.
Okay, let's give Ms. Martin a hand for that. The next item on the agenda is the above and beyond recognition. Ms. Mims and Fields are there.
While they're coming, let me just say we'd like to tell Ms. Martin to congratulate her students on our behalf because they've really done a great job with their artwork.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
President James, Chair Mr. West, members of the board, Mr. Butcher, Ms. McDonald Green. I have the pleasure of standing before you this evening and honoring two of the great teachers at Frazier Elementary. During one of our data talks, I was giving Mr. Butcher and the team an update on where we were, and I mentioned two teachers, and they said we have to spotlight them. The first teacher is Ms. Cochran. Ms. Cochran came to me 6 years ago. We both started Frazier at the same time. She came to me as a permanent sub almost 6 years ago, but she was determined to be a blessing to the students at Frazier Elementary. And actually, I'm proud to announce that as of yesterday, she received her 3-year license from MBE. But we're honoring her today because she decided on her own that she will have virtual after-school tutoring with her students who need it. So virtually, she tutors students from 6 to 6:30 to help prepare them for their benchmark assessments, their 9-week tests, and ultimately the state test. She didn't ask for a dime. She just said, "Can I do it?" And I said, "Yes, you can." So she's been doing it for about a month and a half, almost 2 months now. So she's being recognized for going above and beyond.
Yeah.
That's why that data looks so good. That's what I say it for you.
The next teacher that I have the pleasure of recognizing is Miss Sheila Craig. Miss Craig. Miss Craig came to me this year from Natchez High School. She was a teacher assistant at Natchez High. I heard so many great things from her, about her from Ms. Wiley, Ms. Lee, and Dr. Osterbar. They were like, "You need to give her an inclusion teacher," so I did. So she has been working as an inclusion teacher at Frazier Elementary with our 2nd and 3rd graders. She's been recognized today because she came to me, she said, "Ms. Mims, these 3rd graders have to pass the test, but I see that they're struggling with phonics." Is it okay if I come in a little earlier every morning and help them with their phonics so that they can read fluently enough to be successful on the test? So she comes in early, she brings us some breakfast sometimes, and she tutors third grades, those who have phonics deficits. So because of that, she's been recognized for going above and beyond. Thank you all.
Let's give Ms. Craig, Ms. Williams, let me just say this. I attended the virtual meeting of the conference this past week, and the only time I got a chance to see something, actually it was coincidental that the Gulfport High was being highlighted, the Gulfport School District. And one of the things they said that they've been doing for a number of years is most of their teachers tutor kids after school, sometimes once a week, sometimes every day during the week, and they do it as a part of the overall program that they have in Gulfport, and they were being recognized as being one of the top school districts in our state. So their educators are doing it for free for I have expressed. We appreciate that. Okay, the next item on the agenda, NECA and Colin student recognition. Ms. Jackson.
Good evening, Mr. James, Mr. West, members of the board, Mr. Butcher, Mrs. McDonald-Green. I have the honor and privilege of recognizing two amazing Natchez Early College at Colin seniors this evening, and I'll ask them to come forward at this time. Ms. Samaria Spears and Mr. Jerome Timmons III. So while they're coming down, as you know, our students at Natchez Early College at Colin are dually enrolled students, meaning they're high school students and college students. They take their high school and college classes simultaneously. And Jerome and Samaria were voted not only by their high school peers, but their college peers to represent Copiah Lincoln Community College Natchez campus as Mr. and Ms. Colin for the 2021-2022 school year. They are the first high school students on the Natchez campus to represent the entire school in such a manner, and I'm just so proud to be their principal. Samaria is the daughter of Shantora and Montreal Robinson, and Jerome is the son of Shantae Timmons and Mr. Jerome Timmons II. I can say so many things about them, but just to give you all just a snippet of some of the great things that they're doing. First, both of these students will receive their associate degree in May, and they will go on to the four-year college of their choice. Samaria is a cheerleader, Natchez High School cheerleader. She is an officer in Phi Theta Kappa, which is the Junior College Honor Society. And she's also a member of HGA. She's a class officer, and she has, if I'm not mistaken, over a 4.0 GPA. Amazing student. Jerome is a member of the football team. He's also in SGA and Beta, and these are just some model students academically, attendance, discipline. I can keep going on and on. So just congratulations to you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Let's give them a round of applause. The next item on the agenda is the championship row update. Mr. Greg West.
Good evening, Mr. West and all the board members, Superintendent Butcher and all district employees that are present. I'm here to deliver a word of appreciation for your support of the high school team's state championship row idea. Along with myself, Mrs. Day Deering, we are the public school representative of locating state team championships. the district's contribution of $1,500 purchased 30 of the 60 signs that we have received so far. We have almost 20 more to purchase. 5 of the 8 schools that have won at least one team championship in Natchez-Adams County are past and present public schools. There's a sign before you today representing each one of those schools. The Adams County Board of Supervisors have agreed to allow Championship Road to be placed along the edge of the parking lot by the safe room and near Liberty Park baseball field. You have pictures before you of that area, a collage of pictures. Our original proposal was to place each sign on its own pole to form the road. However, we're looking at the possibility of putting the signs on the fence. Do you see the picture with the signs on the fence? I just went and put 4 signs on the fence. We need to know who owns the fence so that we can look into that possibility. Do the district own it? Do you know?
I do not know.
I don't know, it's something probably our attorney, Mr. Ford, can look into.
All right, finally, again, we thank you for that, and we'll be back before you as we continue to pursue the completion of this idea. Finally, let me say thank you for choosing Echo Ride as provided for transporting students to and from our schools. As promised, the students are being transported on all new heat and air-conditioned buses. I've been driving the bus for 13 years, no air. I can see the difference in the student behavior the first few months of this year while riding on the bus. Also, new drivers are getting the promised at least $15 an hour pay, and drivers who weren't getting that, such as myself, are making more than $20 an hour. So again, about Mr. Ford's effort, pursuit for the last 4 to 8 years of trying to make that happen. It has become a reality. So,
Thank you, Brother West. Yes.
This was Greg West. I see a portion of the fence is leaning in that first picture. So are you planning to ask whoever owns the fence to repair that portion if we're gonna make it Championship Row, or?
that would be a discussion.
Thank you. We
That's
just
why
don't
you-
want it, you know.
That's why I took
That's why you're trying to find out who owns it.
Yeah, okay, I'm
Well, we
just
talked to
trying
the
to make sure.
county, was it Monday? So we need to know so we can pursue that idea.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, the next item on the agenda, Smith, Shelnut, Wilson Quarterly Report on 16th Section of Investment. Is the representative here from this?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Belinda Fields, and I'm the Relationship Manager for Natchez-Adams School District on behalf of Smith, Shelnut, Wilson. We're an investment advisory firm located in Ridgeland. We've been working with the district for a number of years. The report that you have today is the quarterly report as of September 30th, and this is a report that we provide to the district every quarter. We also provide to the district on a quarterly basis a net cash interest calculation. And I'll walk you through this report The report is divided into two sections, the first section being the full report itself, and the second section is just economic commentary that we share with all of our clients. But as of, beginning on page 2, as of September 30th, the total portfolio was valued on a market value basis at $18,459,842. What this page shows you is how the portfolio is divided into security types. All of your securities are fixed income investments. At September 30th, $2,089,000 of the portfolio was in cash in the money market account. As of today, that balance is down to $853,942. We normally maintain a portion of the portfolio in cash because the district does withdraw the interest earned on an annual basis every December through September 30th. So that withdrawal will be coming up soon, and that will cut that cash balance further. The portfolio had 23% in full faith and credit bonds. Those will be U.S. Treasuries or fully guaranteed by the U.S. government bonds like SBIC. Government agencies comprise 6%. Agency mortgage-backed securities comprise 50%, and municipal bonds 19% as of September 30th. Moving on to page 3, this gives you the breakdown of the securities by maturity. Securities ranging from 1 year or less than 1 year out to 10 years. Final. But overall, the number to take note of on that page is the very last number in the top column. We have a goal for this portfolio. The bottom line is a goal line. The top line is actual where you were. The top line shows you that the WAL, that stands for the weighted average life. The weighted average life of the portfolio as of September 30th was 3.7 years. So you have a very short portfolio given that 16 section money is perpetual. You don't spend the principal, you only spend the interest earned. The blue bars show you how your breakdown ran as of September 30th. The tall blue bar showing you that there was $5.6 million scheduled to mature within the next year. And then you have less maturities as the time period expands. What happens when we have maturities, we reinvest those and purchase securities based upon where the market is at that time. Beginning on page 4, what's called a portfolio appraisal. This runs through, you own a lot of securities. So this runs pages 4 through 8. It gives you a breakdown of every security that is owned in the portfolio. Things to note about the appraisal. The last 3 columns really. The yield on cost, that tells you the level at which you own each and every bond that is listed. And then S&P and Moody's, those are rating agencies that rate the bonds. So you can see that all of your bonds are very highly rated, usually AA plus by S&P, AAA by Moody's. In the instance where you may see a bond that's non-rated, that's usually a taxable municipal bond that is within the state usually. But all of your securities are highly rated. All of the securities are fixed income in the portfolio. There are no stocks, no equity. So when you hear of all of the swings in the market, that does not affect your investments. The only thing that really affects your investments is, what's going on with interest rates. And you all know that interest rates over the last several years have been at rock bottom lows. But you've had some investments that have been on for a while, so the portfolio continues to perform well.
And do you expect interest rates to go up?
What we have been told by economists is that for now, we're looking at 2023. However, you all know that inflation is running very high, and that gives the Fed cause to maybe reconsider some things. But there is a chart that that is in the economic section on page 9 of 16. It shows that by 2024, predictions are for interest rates to be back up to as much as 1.25%, whereas now they're at like 0.25%. So we will start to see interest rates go up again. You know, this has been a long run of low rates, and then the pandemic made it even longer than was anticipated. So where you see all of those maturities that came due within the next year or so, we have been anticipating, having securities roll off so that we could invest them in higher rates. The higher rates just really haven't come yet. But we stagger maturity so that we can take advantage of that when it does become available. Starting on page 9 of the report, it shows purchase and sales. You had a purchase during the quarter, and that was the SBIC bond. All the things that say sales, those were maturities or pay downs. We don't sell any securities. We buy to hold to maturity so that you earn the fixed income level that you purchase into the security at. So you had a great number of maturities, things that rolled off, and that's why you had the $2 million cash as of September 30th, but now we've reinvested some of that. Page 11 just gives you kind of a running total of how the book value of the portfolio has run. You go back further than this, but this starts in 2018. The weighted average life of the portfolio is still at 370 now. It's always been in the 3 to 4 year range. And the overall yield on the portfolio as of September 30th was 1.65%. And you can see that over the last few years, that rate has declined. That's just a factor of what's gone on with the market, but still 1.65% is better than what we can probably get on most CDs or short-term money market investments. So the portfolio is still performing well. It's generating interest income still. I look back over the last 4 quarters. For the quarter ending December 31st, 20, the interest income was $54,365. For the quarter ending March 31, the interest earned was $80,446.60. For the quarter ending June 30th, the interest earned was $76,406. And then for the quarter ending September 30th, 2021, the interest earned was $87,335.70. So over the course of a year, that's still about $300,000 that the portfolio has generated in interest income. And as I mentioned, you all do an annual withdrawal as of the 1st of December. So we'll be getting that calculation, which runs from November of last year through this year. So we'll be getting that to Mr. Byrd early next month. The final page 12 of the report, is just something that shows an interest rate shock. If at September 30th, the portfolio was valued at this number where the blue line is $18,459,842. If the portfolio held everything that was owned in the portfolio and rates went up,
1% immediately on September 30th, the portfolio would have been valued at $17,949,865. And we don't expect rates to move 100 basis points at one time, but even so, this is market value. You have fixed income securities, so the value of the securities can go down on the books, but you never lose any money because you're always going to earn exactly what the security was purchased at. That ends my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have at this time.
Are there any questions or comments?
So if inflation doesn't hit us, we'll be all right.
Yes, ma'am. We're gonna be all right anyway.
But
yeah.
I mean, in fact, we're gonna be all right, but we're gonna be getting it, but hopefully inflation.
Hopefully we get inflation under control and the Fed can measurably begin to increase rates so that it doesn't too negatively impact the economy at one time.
Right, and that's what keeps that market steady. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
It's been a pleasure to work with the district, and I was so excited to be here this evening to get to see all the things the students are doing. That was a fun part of it for me today.
Yeah.
Does that give us a higher interest rate?
And I will say, I'm the relationship manager, but you have two chartered financial analysts that are your portfolio managers, Dodd Williams and Frank Smith III. You can view their bios at any time on our website, ssw1776.com. But we do these investments for 16 school districts at present. Around the state, we've got about 130 million in assets under management just for school districts in the state of Mississippi. So we're proud for the work that we do on that. Smith Shellnut was acquired in April by B1 Bank out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So we've had 26 years of experience as our own company, employee owned. Now we have the backing of a bank, and Smith Shellnut has $5.5 billion in assets under management. We manage mostly portfolios for banks as opposed to corporations and foundations and individuals, but we do all of those, and we're really proud of what we do for school districts.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Next item on our agenda calls for the audit report. Silas Simmons, someone who represents Silas Simmons.
Wow. Choir performance, recognition of championship football, recognition of teachers and students doing great things. I can understand why you put me behind all of them. They're going to be much more exciting than probably.
Your time is short, so okay. I'm just kidding.
I'll do my best. My name is Scott Adams. I'm a partner at Silas Simmons. Just on behalf of our firm, we appreciate the opportunity to work with the school district and be the auditors for this past year. Obviously, we do have a long-standing relationship. There is a term of 3 years where, by state statute, you're required to flip auditors, but I know we go back quite further than just, this is our first year back on the audit. Gilliam completed their 3 years prior, but again, we just appreciate the opportunity to work with the school district. The reason I'm here tonight is to present the audited financial statements for June 30, 2020. Y'all should all have a copy of the report in front of you. It is 90 pages long. Will y'all forgive me if I don't read every single page in the report?
We'll waive it.
Okay. All right. I will just, I'm going to hit a few sections throughout here. I'll start on page 3, 4, and 5. is our independent auditors report. And this is really where we issue our opinion as to whether we believe the financial statements that follow are presented fairly in all material respects. I am happy to report that we have issued an unqualified opinion, which is auditor talk for a clean opinion. So we do believe that the financial statements presented here are fairly stated in all material respects. I won't read verbatim through all that, but that's the gist of what that is. And again, happy to report that it is an unqualified opinion. Pages 8 through 15 is some required supplemental information. It's called the management discussion and analysis. It takes the financial statement numbers and puts it more in a narrative type form. I'll go through a little bit of the raw financial data, but I just recommend that everybody read through that section when you do have time. I'll pick up on page 19 here. Let's see. So on page 19 is the statement of net position. This is at the government-wide level. There's two different schedules here. One is at the government-wide and one's at the fund level. Government-wide includes things like your capital assets, your long-term debt, your pension liability for the PERS program and things of that nature. Whereas at the fund level, it's more of a cash in and out type thing. It's really reflective of day-to-day activities. So I'll just point out here, total assets at the end of the year were a little under 77 million. That's an increase of about 36.5 million from last year. Of course, the primary increase there is the cash and investments that are related to the bonds and notes that got issued. It was still in the form of either cash or investments at the end of the year we're talking about here. Liabilities for the year were around 99 million. That's an increase of about 41 million. Again, the bulk of that is the bonds and notes payable that were issued for the school construction. And there's about 7 or so million of that. There was an increase of the pension liability, which is really based on an actuarial calculation, and there's really no control of it, but it has part of the financials, so it's in there. Then I'll go over to page 21, which is the statement of activities. This is, I guess, what you would consider more of an income statement here. The program revenues for the year were about 9.5 million. We also had general revenues of about 29.6 million. And total expenditures for the year were just over 40 million. So the change in net position from 2019 to 2020 was our expenditures were about $1 million more than the revenues. Now, I'll clarify that that's at the government-wide, and that has some adjustments again for those pension items. So this isn't really a cash operating loss of $1 million. It's strictly some accounting adjustments that had to be made. And the biggest thing was the pension adjustment, which again, it's an actuarial calculation. You really just don't have control over how that goes. Pages 22 and 23, now we're down to the fund level. So we're taking out those fixed assets, capital assets, the bonds and things like that. Total assets is about 66.7 million. That's an increase of 35 million from the prior year, which again is the cash and investments. Total liabilities were just under 7 million. About a $600,000 increase from the prior year, primarily in that accounts payable and accrued liabilities line there. When we were going through our procedures, I didn't see anything that just general operations and the cost of doing business kind of thing. 25 and 26 is going to be the statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in funds. Fancy name for an income statement. Again, this is at the fund level. Not a whole lot of difference from what we saw on the other side, but about 39.1 million in total revenues all the way over there on the right. with expenditures being about 40.1 million, putting our expenditures over revenues at that point at a negative 975,000. When you flip the page, there's another section, other financing sources. If you look at that total, it is $35.8 million that we, which is primarily obviously associated with the bonds and notes. So our net change in fund balance at the fund level was a positive $34.8 million for the year 2020. Pages, let's see, flip over here, 29 through 54 are the notes to the financial statement. This is just going to give you more detail on some of these numbers I'm going over. It'll break out, the repayment terms of the bonds. It'll break out the category of capital assets. It'll just give you, a little bit more detail on some of the information that's in the financial statements. I'll spare the reading of those 30 or so pages. Pages 57 through 71 are some required supplemental schedules and other supplementary schedules. Those are in there either because they're required by state law or they're in there because they're required by governmental auditing standards. They deal with budget to actual comparison, the actuarial calculations, and some of the the mortality rate or the different interest rates and cost of living adjustments. It provides additional information like that, as well as I believe there are a couple of schedules in there that provide, I believe it's 4 years of comparative data of the financial statements that I went over previously. So again, I'll spare us going through all that individually, but I would certainly recommend when you do have the time to go through all that. It's obviously important information. I'll pick back up and I'll try to start rounding this thing off here. On page 74 through 77, these are additional independent auditor reports that we have in here. On 74, this is dealing with internal control and compliance, as well as compliance with the federal award programs that we have here. Typically as part of our audit, we're auditing the financial numbers, but our auditing standards require that if internal control deficiencies or non-compliance come into play, that we're required to communicate those to management. For the purpose of this first report that I'm going over, compliance is related to governmental auditing standards, not state laws and regulations. For this report, happy to report that we did not identify any instances of non-compliance with governmental auditing standards. We do have two deficiencies that we are reporting on for the internal control related part of it. The findings section is more towards the back, so I'll go over those two here in just a second when I get to that. So on page 76, this is the compliance related to the federal award programs. Happy to report we did not identify any issues with internal controls related to the federal programs, nor did we find any, no internal control or no non-compliance was identified during our audit. So that, obviously two positive sides of that one there.
This is for federal grants.
That's right, federal funds. Okay, on page 80 is the independent auditor's report on compliance with state and state laws and regulations. They kind of, I'm not going to read through that verbatim there, but there's really 4 sections where, in addition to our normal auditing procedures, we're required by the state to look at certain things. One thing is the classroom supply funds, and I'm happy to report that we did not identify any instances of non-compliance related to that. Then there's a section dealing with the appropriate coding at the function level. Happy to report, again, no instances of non-compliance with that. Then there's a section dealing with select state laws and regulations. And that's about a 30-page list of things that we have to go through. Happy to report that there was no instances of non-compliance with that. And then there's other state laws and regulations, and we do have 3 items to report on that as far as findings, I guess is what we call them. Starting on 81 is where those are listed. Unfortunately, they're not new findings, but it's, typically, if you have a finding in 1 year, you find it in the next year. So in order to correct it, it almost takes you a couple of years to truly get it to be removed from the report. The first finding is dealing with there were some advances made from the 16th section, principal loan funds. The payments were not made during the fiscal year that we're talking about. Now, they were made subsequent to June 30, or they have a different date than June 30, but they were made after the actual payment date. I can't say that as of March 2021, one of those loans was completely paid off, and then as of March 31, 2021, the remaining advance was brought current. So, assuming that gets taken care of this go around, that finding should be cleared off and taken care of. The next one deals with the 16th section fund allocation. This is dealing with the townships that have students that are maybe I believe there's 3 other districts that have students, residing in a different, or being educated in a different school district. There's a calculation that has to be done, and depending on whatever that comes out to, you may be compensated or you may have to compensate another school district. For a while, I know this finding has been here because we simply were unable to determine what that amount was. In talking with some of management while we were out here, I believe that should be being corrected, and I believe there was a pay and sent actually. So it sounds like that allocation has been determined and brought current. So again, I would look for that one to hopefully be cleared for next year. And then the final finding in this area is on page 82 here, deficit fund balances. There's a lot of funds tracking different programs or different areas or functions of the school district. There were 12 of them that had deficit fund balances. And that's simply, certain programs just don't generate the funding to cover those. And that means the general fund typically has to pick up the slack on those. It's kind of hard to judge right at the end of the year, transferring funds over there to bring those to a positive ending fund balance. But that would be the recommendation, is if you know you're going to be short somewhere, to allocate some additional funding in those areas.
When you say allocate specific funding in those particular areas in order to not allow it to happen, are you saying the board should more specifically identify funds to transfer and authorize to be put in those fund balances?
Right, so if you know it's something that just doesn't generate much revenue, but the expenses are going to be a lot higher, you're just going to have to allocate more funding into those areas.
Is this based on the reimbursement from the state that has not come yet?
I can answer that. Let's take the athletic, please. Last year, whatever the amount we put in for athletics, we were anticipating maybe with all the athletic programs, we might receive maybe $35,000. But it was the middle of the COVID year, and we come nowhere close to that. So your local, all your athletics, the band, all those kind of programs.
So you're saying the cost of the athletic programs themselves is still there for the most part, but the revenues or income was not.
Right.
So, and you're saying that in order to avoid that, once we recognize there may be a shortfall, then we should take the action to reallocate, amend the budget in such a way as to cover those expenses.
That's correct. And if you look under the cause of condition on 82, it is, the revenues just didn't materialize, and certainly COVID played a part in that.
But I mean, in any situation we have where the revenue is not coming in, reallocate the budget line. Is that what you're
Right.
asking us to do? Yeah.
To whichever fund that may be. All right, 85 through 87 are schedule of findings and question costs. 85 is just a summary page, but on 86 and 87 are the two findings I mentioned earlier regarding internal controls. The first one is overall record keeping. It's more of there are multiple things, so rather than necessarily do an individual finding on those, it just became, like I said, multiple things that we were running into. But just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, some of the accounts, like the accrued payroll or the accrued, some accrued claims payables and things like that. And I'm sorry, let me back up. The majority of this stemmed from the conversion that was done, I believe, in 19 or so. Is that
okay?
Right. So some balances were brought over from the old system. However, with the new system, we started maybe tracking some of that stuff in the new system. So those balances that were brought over, they just kind of sat there. They weren't reconciled, or there wasn't anything done with them. So during the audit, that came to our attention. We did at that time kind of stop and say, well, let's obviously get this right. If it's not something that we still owe money on, we shouldn't have it that way. If we're not going to receive some money because we received it a while ago and it's still on there, let's clear these things up. So I will say, as we were working through this, we kind of stopped and said, let's clean this up and get it right. So
This was conversion from one system to the other.
Right, but I think we have that there are some accounts that's been laying dormant for a long time. So as a result, Mr. Burris and his staff will bring to you some of those accounts we need to do away with.
That's right, yeah, because we've looked at them and their June 30, 19 balance was the exact same as June 30, 20. They just need to, like you said, if it's not.
So it's just cleaning house, Scott, is that it?
That's what it amounts to. And then the second one is on page 87. This was a bank reconciliation, internal control. Again, this dealt with the primarily with the conversion. When things came over, there were a lot of outstanding items still on the bank reconciliations. Things that are a year or 2 years old. Typically, if you deposit something within a day or two, that's going to clear. And with checks, typically most people within a week or two are going to have those deposited. So, typically, if you got something over 30, 45 days, we would recommend somebody follow up. It shouldn't be a lot of items, but just to follow up on those regularly. There were some items that were old in there, and again, we said let's stop, let's get it right. I believe all that again will be fixed when we come back, because I'm pretty certain unless a new issue comes up, because we stopped and addressed it at that point. So that's, like I said, I'm probably went way longer than you wanted me to, and definitely not as exciting as the other groups we had tonight. But I'll entertain any questions or any discussion.
Any questions from either of the board members present? Any other comments or questions from the superintendent?
We'd like to thank Fowler Simmons, and I also want to thank Mr. Bird and his entire staff because of the fact that I think this is his first real, it's not his first real audit because of the fact that he started in the middle of a physical year. So we're looking for bigger and better things, and hopefully we'll be less time that you have to spend with us. I know he have talked with us extensively about some of the adjustments that he needs to make and those kind of things. So thank you very much for your patience and your time.
I appreciate the management. Y'all have very, very nice to work with good people. So.
And thank you, he's fooled you very good.
Just kidding.
Yeah, we appreciate him and we appreciate you and the presentation you made. Thank you very much.
And again, we appreciate the opportunity to work with y'all. If something comes up when you do sit down and decide to read some of that, I'll be happy to come back at any time. So.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda, we have a roof presentation for Brayton and West.
I'm gonna have to take this thing off, I can't talk.
That's all right, I understand the over there.
Thank y'all for letting me come up here and talk. I work for and represent EC Malone Corporation, otherwise known as Malone Roofing. I don't know if anybody here knows about our company, but just something, just a short overview is.
Before you get started, excuse me.
Yes.
Mr. West, I think we're gonna give you 3 to 5 minutes to make your presentation.
Yes, sir.
And any additional information that you will need, it'll be presented to Mr. Ford and Mr. McDonald and myself.
That's great. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Anyway, Malone Roofing employs about 350 people. We're based out of Jackson, Mississippi, and we work in, we've got 9 offices throughout the Southeast. But the main reason I am here is, I'll just give you a little back history. Back in the middle of the summer, around July, Mr. Ford asked us to put together a proposal for a re-roof here at Brayton and for Susan B. West. And our estimator came out and looked at the roof and got the necessary information, came back, and I looked at it, and it looked like it had been damaged by hail damage. And he brought it to my attention. The reason he brought it to my attention is because what I do for the school, for the our clients is I help them navigate through insurance claims. We work with many districts here in Mississippi: Greenville, Leland, Clayton County, North Pollard County. And right now working with Clarksdale. Also, we work with Hollandale and Franklin counties. And we've navigated with the insurance company, the adjusters, the consultants, everyone who's involved. We help them to identify the problems and make sure that the proper coverage is taken, and that a proper scope of work is prepared to do the work that is necessary for the school. And we've had great success with that. We have a wealth of resources behind us, engineers, we got consultants, whatever it takes. And just looking at this particular school, Brayton, I got y'all a picture report. I don't plan to go through it tonight. I want y'all to just kind of look through there. I've pointed out some of the reasons why I think it's got hail damage. One thing, I'll make it quick. You have a modified bitumen roof up there. It's basically like a tar roof with granules on it. And I was gonna let y'all look at it. When you get a hail strike, you lose your granules, and your granules protect your roof. Y'all want to just kind of look at that fast down, fine. And also you have, on this particular roof, you have a tile roof that's over the front there.
Is that a ceramic tile?
Yes, ma'am. No, for the tile up there, it's not a ceramic tile.
Okay, what is that?
It's Ludovici. It's a Ludovici tile, clay tile.
It's a clay tile.
Yes, ma'am, Ludovici tile. We have some that's.
Was that there originally when this building was built?
I don't know. That's, I don't know how long it's been. It looks like it's fairly new.
It does.
It's in really good shape, except for it's got some cracked, loosened, something's hit it and knocked it all loose. So,
And when that cracks, does that do what, the kind of roof that we have all over town, which are,
Mhm.
are these, they're slate, but it looks like slate, but it's
Oh, yeah.
those other, they crack.
Yeah, that's what happens when it hits, it cracks and it
Yeah.
comes off, and of course, water can seep down in it. Now,
Asbestos roofs, that's what's all over town, is our asbestos roofs, and if you hit it, it cracks.
yes, right. Oh, you talking about those asbestos strangle tile?
Yes.
Yeah, we replaced a lot of those,
Yeah.
yes, ma'am, on a lot of houses. They're all over down the river. But this is a Luigi tile, which is a specific type of tile, one of the best you can get, actually. And luckily, it's a flat tile, it doesn't have curves to it, so it's not as expensive as some of the others. But we put in there to replace the whole thing. It may not need replacing. It's got little ground, you can see the pictures. And we also have, you have quite a bit of copper. You have, on the top of the tower, you have a copper standing seam roof. I flew my drone, got a bunch of pictures of everything. Y'all can look through there and see it, and I put them on some notes, kind of self-explanatory. But the bottom line is, you have insurance, and if you have an insurance claim, that's what insurance is for. We have a lot of experience in doing that. I can give you a list of all the schools we work with, we work with quite a few, and we save them millions and millions of dollars, to where some of them have some money in the budget just to do the roofs, but once the insurance is paid, then they can take that money to do other things in the school district. And we can do this, we can inspect all your roofs, we can give you a report, we can work with the insurance companies, and it doesn't cost you one dime. What we ask is that you enter into an agreement with us that if by doing this, we can obtain the proper funds to do the work that's needed, you will allow us to do the work, okay? And I'm aware that anything over a certain amount, $50,000 usually has to be bidded out. But working with Mr. Ford here, he's been very, very helpful. This school is maybe approaching an emergency situation. Just walking through it, I can see where you have quite a bit of water damage here, and it could be from older hail, newer hail, or wind, or whatever. But before y'all go out and spend $1 million to do the roof, it may be important for y'all to look into, is this a covered insurance claim?
Well, let me thank you for your presentation and the information. At this particular time, I think it'd be more appropriate between the superintendent and Mr. Ford to review the overall situation and come back to the board at some point and give us some advice on what direction we ought to go and how we need to try and move in that direction. I would certainly want to thank you for your presentation, because I noticed some of this information you kind of provided us with has some amounts on it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and that's kind of inappropriate at this particular point. In the event, we have to follow the law and the regulation as it relates to accepting proposals for bids or something like that. But at this, so if that's okay, is that okay with the board?
Yes.
Okay, so we appreciate it, appreciate the information, and again, the superintendent and Mr. Ford and other persons whom we may assign, we kind of get together and bring something back to the board at some point in the future.
Okay, I'll work with Mr. Ford on that.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, and Mr. Ford will work with Mr. Butcher.
I appreciate it, and I'll tell you what, I'm like the other guy, I really appreciate and enjoy the music. I'm a music guy myself, got my own band and everything, it just tickled me to death to see all the young people play, so I appreciate that.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank y'all.
Yes.
You testify that you said some style of location, but the next don't mind it, but it's told you.
Okay, what we're gonna do is, can we get a motion to have a recess the board meeting for 5 minutes?
I'm so moved. Second.
Moved and properly second. Any questions or discussions on the motion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed by saying no. Ayes have it. We will call the recess meeting to order. We'll take The next item on the agenda, it would be the approval of the minutes.
Mr. West, may I make a suggestion? There are no corrections. Can we just go on and approve all those minutes logo?
Okay? Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Mr. Chair, I'll move that we approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that we would approve the minutes, item 6.1 through 6.4. Any questions or discussions on the motion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed by saying no. The ayes have it and the motion is carried. Under item 7, approval of consent items. Can we take care of those if there are no objections or if there are no recommendations for changes?
Mr. Chair, I shall move for approval of the consent items.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Any questions or discussions on the motion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed by saying no. The ayes have it and the motion is carried. We do have a request, if it's okay with the board members, Ms. Newsom, and there was some discussion, there are some persons here who want to discuss a matter in executive session with us. So we want to have a closed determination as to whether we will go into executive session so we can entertain an item or two regarding executive session and come back and finish up our agenda, if that's okay. So if that's okay with the board, we need a motion to that effect.
I move that we go into closed determination.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that we will have a closed determination. Any questions or discussions on the motion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed by saying no. The ayes have it and the motion is carried. All of you are excused, but we need a motion to go into executive session to discuss a student and personnel matter and possible litigation. Is that correct? Can we get a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and properly second. Any questions or discussions on the motion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed by saying no. The ayes have it and the motion is carried. Thank you. You talking about personnel, new personnel, approval of this?
No, we didn't.
We need to do 8.1, 8.2, 8.3. Why don't we just skip all of the administrative reports and updates?
That's fine.
Let's just go down these others right quick and just skip. Huh?
Sounds good.
We done the minutes, right?
Did we approve the minutes?
No, 8.1 we did.
And we approved the consent items.
That's right.
Right, so we're gonna go take
The action items.
the action item, 8.1. Ms. Bryce, is she?
Good evening, Mr. James, Moderator West.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
ladies of the board. I'm presenting the Personnel Board Report 8.1 and the Personnel Vacancy List 8.1A. This is a recommendation of Superintendent Butcher that the Natchez-Adams School District Board of Trustees approve the attached personnel changes and documents submitted.
I move that we approve the personnel report and vacancy list.
Is that second?
Second.
Moved and properly second. Any questions or discussions on the motion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed by saying no. The ayes have it and the motion is carried. 8.2, approval of exceptional services plan. Ms. Asabal?
I'm gonna speak on her behalf.
Oh.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
We're here to request approval 8.2, the Exceptional Education CCEIS Plan. That's the Coordinated Early Intervention Services. We will have to mandate 15% of our budget to provide these services due to over-identification of African American students with intellectual disability and discipline. So those funds will be spent to provide training and professional development to our staff and our teachers, and instructional support services as far as in supplies, assistive technology to students that are in the general population and the special population.
Did you write this plan?
I did with the assistance of a
Good job.
consultant. Thank you.
Yeah, I read it. Okay, Mr. Chair, I move for approval of action item 8.2.
A second.
Been moved and properly second. Any questions or discussions on the motion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed by saying no. The ayes have it and the motion is carried. Next item, 8.3.
Good evening, everyone. Action, agenda item 8.3 is, request for approval of the Natchez-Adams School District Instructional Management Plan. The Mississippi Accountability Standards 20.1 and 20.2 mandates that each school district implements an instructional management plan that has been adopted by the local school board and includes at a minimum the competencies and objectives required in the curriculum framework approved by the Mississippi State Department of Education that are available to all teachers in the school district. Therefore, it is the recommendation of the superintendent that the Natchez-Adams School Board of Education approve the NASD 2021-2022 instructional management plan.
Okay.
Your turn.
So what, second?
No,
You got to be first.
I'm sorry, I was texting. That's why you don't drive and text. But I'm sorry, I've got people asking me to, where am I?
We're gonna let you go in just a minute.
Thank you.
You all for motion to approve item number 8.3?
I do.
Ms. Newsom, are you going second?
I sense that is.
I can, but it's been moved and properly second. Any questions or discussions on the motion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed by saying no. Ayes have it and the motion is carried.
Okay,
I'm so sorry.
Mr. Chair, I move for approval, oh, wait, Ms. Morrison.
We had a.
8.4 has been approved. We already know what you're gonna say.
Go on, Ms. Morrison,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Approval of agenda item 8.4 is approval of the Natchez-Adams School District Professional Development Plan. Accountability 15 states that every school district must have one. Therefore, it is the recommendation of the superintendent that the Board of Trustees approve the Natchez-Adams School District Professional Development Plan for 2021-2022 school year.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I feel the need to move for approval of action item 8.4. However, I would like to make a request.
Okay.
Instead of it, since it calls for, let me see, what's the word? The professional learning, isn't that what it's?
Which one, which word were you?
No. In this, wait a minute.
8.4.
In the professional learning, that it's termed as now that you use.
They have professional learning standards.
Right.
That,
So, and as I was reading this, why can't we say professional learning plan?
We
Since
can.
Because it sounded better to me with what you're doing now.
And
You
the
talked about how the professional learning is gonna help teachers and da-da-da. So,
Yes.
that's just me asking a question now.
I mean, we can, I just kept it in line with what the accountability standard states.
Okay, all right,
But
but,
we can change it to
I
learning.
move for approval for action item 8.4.
Okay, thank you.
It's been moved and properly second with the minor change, is that correct?
Yes,
Well,
I can change
or
it
you
to
can
learning.
wait till the next year, it
Okay.
doesn't matter, I just was
Okay.
asking.
Okay, any questions or discussions on the motion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed by saying no. Ayes have it and the motion is carried.
Now, Mr.
Floor is
Butcher, do
open
you
for-
want us to go on with 8.5? Do we?
We've
We
done
already did
8.5. We've already done
Oh, we put it over there,
8.5.
that's right, okay.
The floor is open for a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chair, I move for adjournment at
15.
7:13.
Okay.
Second.
Move is properly second. All, any questions or discussions on the motion? All in favor indicate by saying aye. The ayes have it and the motion is carried.